Noxcrew. Yeah, cool. Hey everyone, this is Matt. I'm from FyreUK. I'm here with Phil.
Hi. I'm tired. And we're also here with one of our moderators, Smiley.
Yeah, I'm one of the community managers of FyreUK, so I help manage everyone during the time lapses, you know, kind of keep everything running smoothly throughout the town. So.
Yeah, I missed what you guys do. Sorry.
What? We do Minecraft things, like time lapses and maps.
Oh, cool.
Who are you?
Oh, you're FyreUK.
Oh. Who are you?
I'm Noxite from the Noxcrew. Recently, we released a map called Jeoffrey's Chamber. Yogscast played that. You know, the whole Jeoffrey, that thing. No one knows.
Do that
Has
again.
anyone played it? Can we have a show of hands?
There we go.
Yeah, that's a nice show of hands.
Okay, so cool.
So most of you.
That's cool.
There you go. Everyone now knows what you're going to be talking about then. There we go. See? It's going to be good. Well, I'm surprised there's this many people at 10 on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Nowhere else is open. We tried to go get food, it's just all closed. So we're like, okay, we'll come do a panel then. So
Well done.
There we go. Yeah. So maps in Minecraft, it's fun, isn't it?
A lot of fun. A lot of fun. And we're here to talk about making cool maps. So I guess we'll just do some kind of talking behind background stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, about what we've done, time in the community.
Yeah.
Let's see what we've done over. Yeah, and then we'll have Q&A afterwards. So think about those questions, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Be good.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I want to briefly talk about a map we did last year for Hat Films, which is called an epic adventure, and how it's different going from building something like a time-lapse video or something, but then also implementing a story into that and also trying to build architecture around something that you know that people are going to have to play. Because that's kind of different from designing like a building or something that you're just going to show the exterior of. If you're building a map that then people have to play through, you have to think about where they're going to go, what they're going to see, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's something as well that you kind of had to think about with Jeoffrey's Chamber, is that you have to make it look good but also play well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tough thing to do when kind of thinking about it. And it's different when you approach it for a video, like a trailer or something, because then instead of just making it play well, you also have to make it look good. So it's kind of like a big cycle.
Yeah. And it can be, I mean, this one of the examples of this, leading your player, should we say?
Yeah.
Is, so we're talking about adventure maps in general here. And adventure maps is just like designing a game. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have played a game where you're in somewhat of a dark room and there's like 3 doors and one of them has a light behind it. You'll head towards that door with the light. Like there's no question about it. Because it's just the way our minds kind of work, and you'll see this in game design all over. I saw it in Last of Us recently, right at the beginning. There's like a street lamp shining down on this broken wall, and it's like, yeah, that's where you're supposed to go. And this is the exact kind of thing that you transfer into adventure maps as well. Is that you always try and somehow without telling the player with a sign or something like, yeah, you're supposed to go that way. Try and do it more subtly. In particular in Jeoffrey's Chamber, I was kind of doing it through the voice a little bit more, like dropping hints to what you're supposed to do, like just kind of a key word. Once that key word's in the player's mind, he'll probably head towards whatever you said. Like, hey, look how pretty that throne looks, and then the player will think, yeah, I want to sit in it. You don't even have to go sit in it. Just look at that throne. Isn't it amazing?
You don't even have to like leave stuff like, oh yeah, no, everyone goes sit in the throne. You just drop enough of hints, little breadcrumbs to lead them up to stuff. But
yeah.
You can do it many different ways with maps. There's you can just have a complete linear path, just A to B, all the signposts like leading them straight there. Or you can have like different branching things that little Easter eggs hidden there. Or as we like to do, if they went off the beaten track, punish them. Which is always fun. Did anyone here watch an epic adventure? Any Hat Films fans in the house? Okay.
Punish them.
I mean, another thing that you can do in maps of that is add Easter eggs off the beaten path, and that's something that I really like to do, because I usually make stupid characters up and leave things. And that actually kind of leads nicely into 2 maps we brought to the Expo, which we brought a parkour map and a Hunger Games map. And the Hunger Games map has Easter eggs like all over it, but I feel like everyone's going to die before they see them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it was fun. I mean, me
Yeah.
and Miles have been working on those maps like crazy the last couple of weeks, and it's just been crazy to see people now playing them when we're here.
Yeah, and the way that it's the way they've been playing it is exactly how we had it in our in our minds when we created. Think, oh, we want players to do this and go here.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the cornucopia at the beginning is very different from the standard Hunger Games maps in terms of there's one chest in the middle, and everyone falls down, and then they just run straight into like a bit of a maze, and it's like exactly how we wanted it to be. And it's great to see how it all works out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like Hunger Games maps start the cornucopia kind of somewhere in the terrain.
Yeah.
And it's in a giant like temple. Thanks, Phil. Thanks. Thank you. It's fine. I'll just be as far away from the microphones as possible. But yeah, the cornucopia is in the middle of this huge temple, which is a really cool design because people can go from the cornucopia straight down into the catacombs underneath,
Yeah.
and there's lots of different ways. But they can also go out into villages and towns and things like that, and that's something that we think about from a design point, is where we want people to go. And it's a bit like leading the player in an adventure map, but now we're doing it in a really small enclosed environment because we know we want people to go get chests or weapons, and things in
Yeah.
these places. So we have to make sure that people will want to go in a certain direction. So that's kind of what we have to think about when making the map. And it's game design. So just that kind of stuff, but translating it into Minecraft.
And the variety of different builds you have around, that can transfer into narrative behind your builds.
I like narrative.
Right?
Yeah.
Segue.
Yeah. Segue.
Somewhat.
Yeah. But it's good because narrative in maps is something that a lot of people maybe don't think about, but it's something that we try to add in, like some sort of backstory or something like that. Even our time lapses all have a little bit of a backstory. An Epic Adventure's got a long history behind it, and now these maps that we've brought here, they've all got something a little bit extra there. But a lot of people just want to go play the maps, but there's something else there if people want to go look or think about it a little bit, and maybe even people will come up with their own ideas, and that's kind of something that I think Minecraft's very good at, is letting people kind of use their own imagination to imagine what either that place was like or what it's been used for.
One thing, I mean, when it comes to building maps, and you try and, I think the best maps come from when you try and think about realism, right? And when I say realism, I don't necessarily mean real life. Like, if I can I do that in real life? No. Oh, that's not realism. No, that's not what it means at all. Basically, if you build your own world that's different to the real world, and you try and think, what are the rules of this new world? Think about things like Matrix and Lord of the Rings and all those kind of things. They're all those different worlds, and they all have different rules. And as long as everything that happens in that world stays to those rules and it's believable, then that's realism. Realism within that particular world. And the reason I'm talking about that is because realism comes from a narrative. A narrative is a story behind your build. And when you're kind of building, you might want to think about, what is the actual story behind this build? Why is it here? Who used it? What is it doing? How long has it been there for? All these kind of things. And when you think about that, like a story behind your build, it actually helps you, like, get more ideas. So maybe you're thinking, I don't know what to do. Start thinking about the story, and suddenly things will start like popping into your head. And you're like, and then maybe that happened. Oh, that means I'll have to build one of those, and then one of these, and one of that, and etc. So
it also helps adding to a lot of the finishing touches to just obviously make that map just that little bit more detailed. For example, with the backstory, if it's a long-lost civilization, you think, oh yeah, it's a long-lost civilization, it's just been rediscovered, so it's going to be covered in leaves and vines, and it's going to look, you're going to use a lot of mossy sort of cobblestone sort of thing to make it look like it's been there for a very long time and hasn't been touched. Like for the Hunger Games map, it's all crumbled down, there's pillars falling over because the nature's taken its toll on the build. And obviously, if it's like a pristine civilization which is still ongoing, then everything's going to be very clean. It's going to be very nice and ordered. So obviously, that, again, that narrative helps describe the build as it is there and then.
I mean, I'll throw back to an older build now, the Fallen Kingdom set for the Captain Sparkles music video. When designing that, we designed 2 different versions, which was the original and then the destroyed one. And so we built the original and showed it to him first and got everything like, you know, this is your kingdom. And then from there, learning about the narrative of the video, it helped us determine, okay, well, these are the bits we're going to destroy. And again, with the realism set, it was how can we destroy these things and how will that affect other parts of the build and what's the best way to show it off. And you just come up with a whole bunch of ideas. And I'd say that a lot of people think, oh, that idea might be not, you know, too good, but any idea is good if you can show off in the right quality.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you think, oh, I've gone overboard, this bridge is too destroyed, no, I need to rebuild it up again, you know, just don't worry about it.
Yeah. And I mean, again, the joy of Minecraft maps is that you can be crazy. You can just like,
Yes.
you know, making your own world is fun, okay? I made a chamber and stuck a guy in it and used him as my pet. That was fun.
Wow.
and basically what I did was, you know, I made my own world, but I didn't necessarily tell the player what this world means. And from the beginning, you're still confused where you are, who you are, and what you're doing. But that's the kind of the fun of storytelling, is that you're not going to quite find out until the end. And I've played a lot of maps where people really try and force the story on you. And the reason, let's say, Half-Life 2 was a successful game is because the story is so vague, right? And you don't, it's not really like, it's not, you know, you're not force-fed anything of this story. It's really, you know, the whole game, you're wondering, what is this world? You know, why am I here? Who the hell is the G-Man? You know, all these kind of questions. And this is why you play it. It's because you want to find out what that means. And that's why we can't wait until Half-Life 3, because I want to find out what the hell it all means.
Yeah.
The wiki's not enough.
I'm sure
But,
when your grandkids are around, you'll be able to play it when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a, you know, it's kind of a style to map making, I guess. If you want to go down the route of giving the player like a lore, a backstory, and all this kind of stuff, go ahead if that's your thing, you know. But I went down the route of not telling them anything, and then, you know, feeding them little hints along the way. So maybe at the end of the map series, it'll suddenly all come together, and it'll just be that enormous, rewarding feeling when you finally put all the pieces together, and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, there's not particularly one method to get to that end goal either, I think.
No.
Like that you can either do it from the state of, I'm going to do the build first and build a story around what I've built and what I've created, or you can just go in knowing, right, this is exactly what I need to have for the map and just do the bare minimum and just go through it. And you can't knock either one because both, I've played maps, you know, and stuff where they're both are equally captivating. You know, you can get easily immersed in these worlds and stuff. So, you know, if you're building it yourself, don't think, oh, I really should be working on this, or, you know, because they all take time to make. I mean, how long did Jeoffrey's, you know, chamber take for you?
A few days.
Yeah. You see, you're the exception.
Maybe a bad example.
What?
Yeah, that was a bad example.
What? A few days?
Sleepless, showerless,
I nearly swore.
foodless days.
I was really angry then. I'm like, this is like weeks.
Yeah.
I'm just weeks.
And
that
there
go
was
into some of that
heat
stuff.
waves at the time.
The
in
British
England as
heat
well. It
waves.
was
Should we just
horrible.
talk about the weather for the next half an hour? The weather, man. But no, another thing that's really interesting about making maps, kind of deviating away from the story stuff now, is how you kind of go into the whole architectural side of things, because it's really good if you design something in your head, then portray that into like a miniature in Minecraft, and then try doing small templates and ideas, and then building the full thing. And that's something we do for all of our maps and all of our time lapses, is we find concept art we like as inspiration, we go into Minecraft, we make a miniature, although I've started using the term bigature, which was first coined in Lord of the Rings, like in the behind-the-scenes stuff of that, which is like huge versions of miniatures, because our builds are so big that I can't fit detail onto a really tiny thing. Bigature sounds like a bad word, doesn't it?
No, I kind of like it.
Do you like it?
Bigature.
I've heard gianture as well before, and I think that's really weird. I don't understand why you'd need a giant miniature.
Massive-ture.
But there's one in New York that's called the Giant because it's like all of the Brooklyn states and everything, like Brooklyn and New York and everything. And it's massive, and you can like walk across it. It's weird.
That's where it's come from.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, doing that kind of stuff in Minecraft is really useful to kind of get an idea of how your map's going to play, how it's going to look, what block palette you're going to use, and things like that. And then obviously going in, making that like a proper map is kind of like the next thing to what to do, and that's where it takes weeks. And weeks for us anyway, clearly days.
No, I mean,
for you.
I mean, has anyone heard? I'm not sure if I ever mentioned this. This is 2 years ago.
Oh no, I know what you're about to say.
Yeah. Paladin's Quest. Has anyone heard of that? Okay.
Now you're going to get about 100 Q&A saying when's it coming
No,
back?
okay.
When's it coming back?
In the Littlewood played the first one a long time ago. Did anyone play the first one? Okay, we have some people, nice. So that one took time.
Yeah.
Because, that one, there's not really a rule to how long maps should take, because you can kind of finish the map and be like, actually, I'm not quite happy with it. I want to change it a bit, and then it'll just take you longer.
And that isn't something people should be afraid of, like tearing stuff down and restarting or something, because
not at all.
that usually makes something better.
Yeah.
Because if you give it either more space or more time in your head, you're going to add more detail, or you're going to give it that backstory a little bit more, because sometimes you can make a world and it's just lifeless in a way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like where you have to think of it from.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would love to just join straight on that, but I do have to just maneuver around a bit. But no, if you're playing making a PvP map of some sort, so you're like getting everyone together, definitely test it before you're thinking of releasing it. Get a group of friends around, and just play it constantly. You'll probably get bored, and you think, I don't really want to be doing this, but just keep playing it and working out where the kinks are. And I'm like, you'll get a point where, say you've got a massive bridge that leads to somewhere, and everyone just keeps getting stuck around there, and it's just this, little block hole. You're going to think, right, we need to kind of rethink this, get some extra terrain on the go. And it can be a simple thing of like, oh, it's a minor inconvenience that will mean you have to restructure an entire half of a map, and you just have to keep going through. So testing, as GLaDOS would say, is good.
No, on that's actually a very good point. Testing is very important, because when you test your map with a couple of players, watch them, listen to them, right? And don't say anything, just kind of stay in the background, but just allow them to kind of explore your map and see the way they think, right? Because it's very important, because if that's the way they think, like if they get to a bit and they get stuck and they're like, guys, we can't figure out what to do next, and they're trying to figure out, that's your fault as a map maker. Okay, if someone gets stuck, that's your fault, all right? Because you didn't make it. I don't want to use the word obvious, because sometimes a player can just derp. Let's say, he can just be like, oh wait, I'm not using my logic. Yeah, that completely makes sense. But then maybe if they did, maybe you should help them with some kind of hint, and then you should put that kind of hint in the map, so that if anyone else comes across that same problem, then that hint will be helping them, and then that'll trigger, their mind, the little gear in their mind, and it'll put 1 + 1 together, and then they'll be like, oh, right, yeah. So that's why testing is very important, to see not only bugs of the map, but to see how the player reacts to your map, and to help them.
Yeah, it's all about the feedback when you're creating something, because although you can look at something and go, I love this is like amazing, if the general sentence coming back is, I'm sorry, I just don't find it as enjoyable, I'm not going to play it, then you do need to go back, and it can be a bit heart-wrenching sometimes. I've gone through certain things, and I'm like, oh, I really love this idea, and I think this is looking really good. But then we've just had to completely go back to the drawing board and start again, because people have gone in and said, I don't like the way this plays, I'm sorry, And if you get, enough people coming back saying that, then, you just need to redo it.
Yeah,
but hence all the time coming through, You can spend months doing a lot of maps, and then other ones people love straight away, and it's done in a couple of days.
Yeah. And also, it's about attention span as well. If your player loses the kind of interest in your map somewhere in the middle, then you've got to spice that area up a little bit. You've got to put something else. Because in Jeoffrey's Chamber Part 2, we originally had a lot longer of an intro. Like, the guy was talking for ages. And, and I was sat there listening to myself talking for ages. And I was like, he does go on for a bit. And I ended up cutting, like, so much script out, just to make that beginning shorter and snappier and things, going on all the time so that the player never loses that interest and their mind keeps going. You want them to finish your map, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, you are always going to have people that will play your game or your map or whatever you're doing and just not finish it or not come back to it, play it once. And I mean, hands up if you have a game at home that you started and thought, I love this game, but you've never gone back to and finished. I mean, pretty much everyone in the room. Everyone's done that. I have a Steam library of a lot of games, and most of them I've not gone back to at all after the first time. So it will happen, but as long as you get that immediate sort of wow factor. And the first thing, when I first saw the Tomb Raider, I was like, wow, this game looks amazing. I really like the look of this, and that's what sticks with me, my mental image of that.
Did you just say Tomb Raider?
Tomb Raider was a great looking game.
Okay, I never finished it. But
I finished it.
But taking that, that's a good point though. That there's those games that we don't finish, and maybe they're the kind of games that we shouldn't try to replicate in Minecraft, like the way it's either laid out or the story kind of features itself. But if we think about games that we have finished, like I finished The Last of Us, loved that game.
Yeah.
Half-Life, things like that. Those are the kind of games that maybe we should try to think about replicating in Minecraft. Not obviously the game, but the way the game flows. Yeah.
Learn from your favorite games.
Yeah. I think Ocarina of Time has inspired me on everything I've ever done in Shadow of the Colossus. Games like that, kind of just the games that make me click and make me think and make me want to keep making maps, because I'm like, if these people in the games industry are so creative and so artistic that even though we're limited to this blocky world, let's make something look really cool in it. And I think that's something that's interesting, even with the game show that you guys do. I mean, that works well, looks good, and functions as a thing that people can participate in. And that must be difficult, because then you start implementing things like redstone and things like that, and that kind of mixes things up as well, because then you're really adding almost like scripting into the game, but instead of it being code, it's lines of red wire that go and trigger things, and command blocks now is basically trigger points from a game. So Mojang have definitely given us a lot of tools that game makers have, but just in really tiny ways. And that's just interesting to think about how we can implement that into a map.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say on that matter.
Hi. But another good point, with all the tools being there, it is definitely a case of you have to learn the tools of your craft before going into a map. Because none of us, or I don't think many people in the mapmaker community, just use vanilla Minecraft anymore. I think it's definitely come to a stage where if you want your map to go somewhere, you need to learn how to be a redstone genius, how to do lots of terraforming for your mountains and all your background scenery and all that sort of stuff. So the tools that we use are definitely very important, so you need to make sure that you're familiar with them. Or if you have no idea how to do them, you have a friend that's able to help you. I mean, we, for an Epic Hat Venture, we had a server member, Hunt, who did almost all of it, and he pulled off things that I had no idea how he did. We came in and we were like, oh, here, we got an idea for this sort of stuff, we'd like to see these things, and boom, he would just go off and do it. And so much wire and cable everywhere, it just confuses the mind, it's insane. But if you get a good, strong team of people together that can all contribute, I mean, it is exactly like being a game developer. You have your artists, you have your coders, you have your story writers, you have those that do all the PR work and publicizing for it. And so it may just be a case of, oh, I just want to build a nice little build and all that sort of stuff. But if you're wanting to take it to the next level, get your friends involved, because no one in this community, I think, can do stuff like this on their own.
Yeah. But on that point, I mean, yeah, it's really fun to build with friends, and that's the way the Noxcrew actually started. Is that I was just building with a few friends, and then I realized, oh man, people actually want to help, so I started getting more people and it formed. But I feel that all of a sudden, the map making community has become a little bit intimidating to kind of get into, because you compare yourselves to all these new maps, like all of high pixels adventure maps and your guys' epic build maps, and it's like, and then Jeoffrey's Chamber with that whole sound side of it, and it's like, oh, I can't do that, you know. But it's not about that. Like, it's not comparing yourselves to other and think, can I do better than them and whatever. It's, you know, focus on making your own world and making your own story. It doesn't necessarily have to be big builds. It's all about the story, because if you have an interesting little story that's kind of like, you know, people have never kind of seen it before, and it's got really characteristic things to it, then that map's going to stick in their minds bigger than the map that just had nothing.
That was really dramatic.
Nothing.
But
You can tell he writes story, don't
No,
you?
the map,
Yeah.
the map that just had combat and nothing else. You know, no explanation of what you're doing and why you're there. It's all about the story.
Yeah,
That will, you know.
There's a lot of PvP maps out there, especially I think a lot on the Hive. That, you know, a lot of the community has obviously took them in. The Hive have taken them on, and like I say, it may not be the biggest thing in the world. It might not be, you know, the most detailed thing in the world, but it's so much fun to play. And there are maps where you think, oh, you jump into particular servers because like, I want to play that map.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big it is. Just think of the gameplay, and it's just so much fun. It's really good.
I mean, so sorry, I was like talking about adventure maps, but
Yeah, obviously.
yeah,
there are.
But
so
it
they're
kind of works the same
styles.
way.
Yeah, it's the same way.
I've
in
seen
terms of
some
gameplay.
people. I've seen some people in Minecraft like literally lay an entire adventure map out in like wool and like just like stone and stuff, just to make sure it works before going in and detailing it.
Alright.
And as crazy as that is, I guess it works.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's kind of like blocking something out, because again, that's another thing they do in the games industry is they block things out and then go in and play those, especially in kind of competitive maps. They do it more rather than campaign levels and stuff. But they go in and, you know, they block something out with just kind of simple one texture kind of thing, and then it works the same in Minecraft, where I've seen maps that are just made completely out of stone or something, and then people just go in, play it, and then they see if things work or if things need to be changed or if there needs to be another direction they can go or another path. And that's something to kind of think about, you know, even from a creative standpoint. If you're going to have people going in there, make it fun, make it almost
Wild.
adventurous. Yeah, wild. You know, it's got to be
We want
good.
to see something new.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why Minecraft's great, is because there's always these new things coming out. It's like, I've never seen this kind of thing before, and that's why it's such a brilliant engine,
Yeah.
a game to build in. Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you can definitely take inspiration from things that are present standing. You know, you have to work on something that you know works as a system, because trying to go and look at the Minecraft community and say, I need to come up with something with completely original that will wow everyone away. No.
Not the way
We
it
have
works.
those meetings and we just kind of sit there going, for hours. And so, yeah, and don't worry too much about the concepts and the actual idea and stuff. If you feel like, you know, I want to get on and do stuff, whatever comes into your mind first, whether it's writing a bit of narrative or just going and doing a little bit of building here and there, just make sure you're not pressuring yourself to think, oh, I need to get this build done ASAP. Oh, people are going to hate me if I don't get it out, because you just, you know, you will lose something from your build or your map. That pressure will like influence your writing in some way, or you'll cut corners just to save a bit of time, and then you'll lose a bit of the experience. And it's, you know, it's all about the experience and the quality that you actually bring to the end product. That's, you know, that's the important part.
I think we might be close. Do you want to do Q&A?
Q&A?
Yeah, let's do some Q&A.
Q&A will
Yeah.
trigger some stuff.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
So we're going to have a guy running around with a mic. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand up, and you'll have him run to you. Here we go, there's a couple over there already.
It was first.
And we've got a bit of time, so we'll try and
Yeah.
get through as many of you as we can.
Noxite, can you make a Jeoffrey's Chamber free?
When I get back from this event, that's the first thing I'm working on. All right? There'll be many parts. Don't worry.
Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
Noxite, roughly, like, how do you sort of come up with all the redstone behind your maps, like in Jeoffrey's Chamber?
Okay, so I have something to admit. I'm a redstone noob. All right, You kind of need a general understanding. For me, I have a general understanding of redstone. I used to redstone back in beta when it was really simple. And then they started adding all these other stuff, and I was like, no, thanks. So, yeah, it wasn't me who redstoned Jeoffrey's chamber. Sorry. But I wrote the story and kind of made the sounds and planned the builds and stuff. And then I had a team, come and help with the builds. And for the redstone, was actually the majority of it was done by Hunt on Doom, which is...
Yeah, look, we share, you see.
Yeah.
This is what we do, we just share.
Because he had this like fantastic idea for a timer, because basically Jeoffrey's chamber works off timers, because there's no way of telling Minecraft when that sound stops. So basically what happens is that the command block starts the sound, and then it also starts this little counter on the side, right? And say the sound lasts for 2 minutes, then the counter has to get to 2 minutes before it triggers the next event, when that sound finishes. So there's tons of timers all going on, and he had this like fantastic idea of using command blocks and hoppers, where hoppers would switch the block back and forth, and then you could have like something actually track the amount of times that it did that, and it would actually use that as the timer. So
Hunt is crazy. He comes up with some crazy, crazy good stuff. I mean, he did all the stuff in an Epic Adventure, and he worked with me on 9 months on that. That map took 9 months of my dear life.
Yeah.
And it was good. But he's such a cool guy to work with, because you say something to him like, oh, I want this to happen. Well, for an example, in Dungeon 3, there's a puzzle where there's about 50 doors that all open, and if you stand on a pressure plate and some doors will open and some doors will close. And he made this entire randomized system, and I'm like, how does this work? And he goes, magic. And I'm like, thanks, Hunt. That's it. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about getting into redstone.
No.
How do you get into it?
Become a genius. It's mental.
Difficult. Yeah. I mean,
There should just be a redstone for dummies. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm pretty certain there is probably something like that, but it just...
I'm sure everyone has a friend that
Almost
knows
it's like
redstone.
we could tease a book that's coming out that's going to be Redstone.
Yeah.
Because there's without saying too much, there's a series of books coming out later this year that Mojang have commissioned, and they're going to be coming out and they're going to help people. I'm not allowed to say too much.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a Redstone
God.
one in there. That's as much as I can go. I can't even say who's doing it or anything. It's that's as far as I can go. But it's going to be good, because I think that's something that's kind of difficult to find on the internet, going to look for tutorials and stuff. It's kind of where do I go? These aren't great. Some of them are really bad quality YouTube videos and stuff. And these are going to be really good quality books that you can go pick up and read and stuff. So that'll be kind of good for people who want to get into things kind of at a basic level. Next question.
What would you guys say is your favorite thing to play around with in Minecraft?
I would say the size of things. For example, the height limit. It's 256 block height limit. Use it. It's when you build something, so big, take your time with it as well. It's I remember in a project we were doing, we were building a lighthouse, and I said to our server members, it says, right, how tall should we make this lighthouse? And they says, about 40 blocks, about this high. It says, right, double it. They went, what? Why? Why should we double it? It's taller than everybody. It says, come on, just double the block height.
Quadruple it.
Because why not?
Just keep going. Yeah, why not?
I said that there's a 256 block height limit. Use it, and they did. Obviously, we built this big lighthouse, and I think, yeah, we see what you mean now. Because if you think about it, Minecraft is a bit like a resolution on a screen, all made up with pixels, big blocks. The more, for example, with the wall, the bigger you make it, the more blocks you've got to add that detail. And I think just being able to build something so expansive and then mess around with that detail in the middle of it, I think it's just great fun.
Yeah, I really like height as well. But another thing I like is texture packs. I like messing around with texture packs. We use Dokacraft a lot with us, and we get sent it because the guy who works on it is a part of FyreUK. But another thing that I like doing is just kind of going into Photoshop, making something crazy, and then just seeing what it looks like in Minecraft. I've done some really wacky stuff with texture packs because it can completely change how the game looks, and you can make something that looks terrible in default and looks really good in a texture pack, and vice versa. So it's kind of always interesting to think about that when making maps. Is oh, I'm making this in a texture pack, and everyone else is going to see it in vanilla. Let's just change this. Oh, that looks awful. We're going to have to work on this.
We've had many times where we're like, oh yeah, no, map's looking great. Then we change it out and we look around and there's just like a red mushroom path and then like melons all over the place for a wall, and we're like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
But no, I like using, I like doing terraforming mostly myself, like playing around with mods like Voxel Sniper and World Edit, and just trying out new techniques to try and see what sort of shapes you can come up with. I mean, I do a lot of sketches before I actually go into Minecraft and do things, just small little doodles, and they're really horrible. They're really tragic. I have no art skills whatsoever, really, but you just give you a basis to sort of work on in-game, and then Minecraft is sort of the nice paintbrush for me. Makes everything nicer, so, yeah.
Sounds, as of recently. I mean, that's what sparked Jeoffrey's Chamber. Because as soon as he released it, see, I'm a student at a film production university. Studying film production, and I specialize in the sound design department. So as soon as Dinnerbone added that, the ability to edit sounds, I was like, that's awesome! Gotta try it. And the first thing I did was sing a little like beatbox track. I was like, bam, 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 jump, bam, and then put like a filter on it to make it sound like it was coming out of a radio, and switched it onto a jukebox disc, and went into added a bit of reverb on it. So I went in this cave and I put the jukebox down and put it in, and it was playing. And I was like, this is so cool, because you edit it in your program first, and it just it's in your program. It doesn't look all special. And as soon as you get it into the game, suddenly it's in the world and it's an actual thing, and it's just a great feeling. So sounds.
Next, no.
Hi, I'm Simon Jones from Cardiff. I'm a Minecraft virgin. Just like to put that out there. But my son, the Sneaky Storm, is beside me here. You've said, Nox, that you're into film, etc. I see a tremendous comparison between the two, and I just wondered whether you've got any blockbusters out there for us now.
Damn it, I should have prepared for that. Yeah, there is a tremendous comparison, definitely. I mean, sorry, like a link between the two, because like I grew up watching a lot of films. Like my parents would, always had films on. So, but I'd watch the weirdest ones, like films not a lot of people heard of. A lot of world cinema, European films, all those. And the thing I find about European films is that they're more about visual storytelling as compared to American and British. Because, I don't know, it just tends to be that way. I just kind of felt that. And visual storytelling is exactly what translates into games, because that's what it is. But I can't, to recommend one. Can I get back to that one? I don't know. I just have 2 minutes. Can you help me out here?
No, I think this is great. Just watching you do this. This is better. This is all the panel should have been. Just you doing this.
Yeah. I'll bail you out in a second. I'll do some videos. It's okay.
Oh, no.
No.
Brilliant.
Not blockbusters.
Noxite, everyone.
Not blockbusters, basically. I don't watch block a lot.
Yeah.
No, in terms of that, I was just saying that I think that your stuff and the rest of the crew there is a blockbuster.
Right.
You have people out here that are really waiting for your next entertainment, and perhaps you should be measuring it in terms of who's watching it, how many people are viewing it, and therefore you can move on to a whole different level.
Well, view counts is always a thing that I found very mysterious, especially online, because a lot of our work, I mean, our most popular build, I think, is safe to say, is the train station time-lapse. I think that's got a fair amount of views at this point.
2.6 million.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. And it sort of harms me in a way that that is our most popular one, yet I know for a fact that it's not our best work. So it's trying to get enough people to look at that and then go and say, right, that's good enough. I want to go and look at all the other stuff and then keep that, going from there. But there's always a pressure of, even when we've just released a time lapse, we'll see in the comment section, when's the next time lapse? When's the next? I want more. I want more. And you're kind of like intimidated by this wall of screaming text at you. But
Yeah. Same with your stuff. Like there are always people want more things. Like Jeoffrey's Chamber 3. It's always people want more things.
Some more.
Yeah.
And when I end it, it'll be like, when's season 2?
Yeah. Do you
No,
ever get
it's
hate
over.
mail? You just get you come to your door and it isn't like addressed. It just says Noxite, and you're like, where is Jeoffrey's Chamber 3 or Paladin's Quest 2 or something? Oh yeah, I'm not meant to mention that.
is there anyone? I think there's a guy down the front here, or
He's been for a while.
it's fine. We'll get to you.
Hi there, I'm Alex. In general, how can you come up with ideas of creating maps, and what gives you the inspiration to make them?
I think most maps always have a good theme behind it. The parkour in particular, has got a lot of inspiration from your favorite games, Shadow Colossus and Ico and stuff like that. And depending on what theme you go for, you always look to the relative either games, movies, books, or comics and stuff like that you've been reading. And I always find that even if you don't intentionally do it, if you've been reading like a science fiction novel or something, and you go into this, want to say, okay, I'm going to build a map and stuff like that, you'll immediately draw from that without even realizing it. So whatever your passion is what goes into your, maps and creations.
Google Images as well. It's
Yeah,
like
Google's great,
You
yeah.
think for a lot of our time, we just think, oh well, let's have a mage city built into the side of a mountain where everything is green, and you think, well, how is that? And you Google it and you see something, you think, wow, how good's that? And then you think, well, how can I put that into Minecraft? And then you kind of develop it, and it's like still. Saying a lot of our references from the beginning of our maps, we kind of think, oh well, we'd have let's have a mysteriously jungle sort of map. And then, like I say, you go onto Google Images and find all the reference images, and it's having a basis to start from. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, but definitely Googling up reference images and sites like DeviantArt and Imgur, you may not even realize what you want to build until you just browse and say something like, Mage City, Archers, and then you see a whole bunch of stuff, maybe even in Minecraft already, and you look at it and you go, yeah, that's great. That's you take bits and pieces from different references and you just kind of slam it together in a big mixture. And
What's important is to not copy, though. It's just to take it as inspiration.
Yeah.
So you look at something and you're like, that's kind of what I want to do. Because a lot of people, especially over the internet, you can't portray exactly what you want to build. So the good thing about finding other reference images and other concept art from games or movies that people have done is you can share that with people and say, this is kind of the theme I want to do. Let's go build something like that in that kind of theme, rather than just jumping in and being like, let's copy that. Because that's, it's plagiarism in a way, but it's also, it's not really cool because you're not using your own brain to, come up with your own ideas. So you're going to kind of be a little bit creative with things, especially with reference images and things like that.
Yeah, it definitely comes from, one, inspiration from something you've watched, or it comes from life experience. Like I found, because I watched so many films and played so many games when I was young, that nowadays I can just, ideas kind of come, but they're like, let's say 10 games and 10 films of all this kind of similar themes. They all have little parts that kind of come out from these things that I've watched and get, put together, and that's where my idea forms from. So watch films, play games. That's very important because you'll learn from it, and you won't even realize. Yeah.
Mom, I'm sorry, I have to play video games because I need inspiration for my creative work. So, I think we've got time for one more question. So, just that guy there, I think, yeah.
With his knowledge of redstone, do you think Seth Blaine should try to make an adventure map?
Can we say it again?
With his knowledge of redstone, do you think Seth Blaine should try to make an adventure map?
Well, I think, yeah,
I'm trying to think. He's done something.
He's done many mini games.
I think he might have helped with some things. Has he done stuff with?
Yeah.
I feel like he's done something with Hypixel or someone.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I know. I mean, I definitely think that's a good idea for someone like Seth, or someone with a lot of redstone knowledge, to go in with maybe a more creative team or something like ourselves, or Hypixel or Voxelbox or any places like that, who can kind of build a map around an idea and then implement really, really cool redstone with those ideas, because some of the stuff that Seth comes up with, it would be so cool to play in like the context of an adventure map, you know, kind of the bosses he comes up with and the kind of complex kind of ideas he comes up with. Like, I've seen some of the stuff he does, and it's like, how did he do that? I even said it to him at Minecon last year. I was like, how did that? And he's like, you know, I do it. It's like every redstone, it just says magic to me. I'm like, well, that isn't helpful.
Yeah.
Why?
Hogwarts of red, you know.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And again, that's why it's so important to play with your friends, because you'll, like, especially on a server, you always find that particular people are better at particular things. Like, I know we have, like, server, oh, well, we need a floor pattern. Oh, well, this server member, you're very good at floor patterns, you come in and do this for us. So it's like, say, if you find your friends, find your comfort zone, find what you're comfortable with. If you think, oh, I really hate building my own little trees and stuff, I'm really not very good, then don't do it. Find a friend who will. And that way, then you'll find links. And you'll, like saying, it's much better when you do play with friends. And obviously that's where you find...
Seth Bling makes a lot of gimmicks, like with redstone. And gimmicks are very important when it comes to ideas as well. So I'm thinking like Portal, for example. Portal is obviously an idea spawned from this idea of a gun that can shoot a portal on one wall and another portal on another wall, and you can walk through it. And that's where that game idea came from. It's just that simple little device. And that is what we call a gimmick when it comes to adventure map making, game design, etc. And sometimes if you can come up with a clever gimmick using redstone, make that into a map. Think, how can you use it in all these different ways to make it like an interesting adventure? So yeah, you definitely should.
Awesome. Well, I think that's what we got time for today. But thank you all very much for coming along today. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little bit about it. We're all going to be doing a meet and greet right now. If you don't know where it is, it's just down at the other end of the hall. You should see a big queue of people and stuff down there. So if you have any other quick questions and stuff like that and want to come hang out with us, we'll be down there. But yeah, as I said, thank you very much, everyone, for turning up.
Thank you.